What's up, fanboys? Time for a little bit of common sense. First off, I'm actually not in my normal spot, as you could probably tell. My brothers are up playing video games, so I'm just gonna leave them there for now. Alright. Today we are going to be talking about the Avengers Endgame timeline. I wasn't planning on making a video of this because I didn't think most people would, be as weirded out by it as they are, because to me the timeline and the time travel makes perfect sense. And I was told to make a video about this just the other day because someone told me that she had never heard it said this way, so now it makes a whole lot of sense, and she wanted me to make a video about this. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll let you answer this question. You can pause the video if you want. Does time travel in Avengers Endgame make sense? Spoiler alert, yes. And I'm going to tell you why. All the movies that are not actually bullcrap from Endgame, such as Terminator, Time Cop, Time After Time, Hot Tub Time Machine, Back to the Future, all the ones that they have used to to understand why this version of time travel does or doesn't make sense. Those movies are all in the, how should we say, river timeline. We'll just call it a river. Because in those types of time travel stories, the actual time travel makes a ripple effect that therefore causes what everyone knows as the butterfly effect. You change one thing in the past, you change the future. Instead of a cop being, in this store where there's no robber, he's in another store where there's another robber, therefore he, arrests the guy, takes him to jail. Maybe the robber's not allowed to carry out his plan of, shooting some other crime gang. Something like that. The Avengers way of time travel is explained multiple times. Once with a visual aid, once with, multiple times with just plain talking. However, before I get into that, I know that, the Russos and the M's, Marcus and McFeely, have said that you only create a branch timeline when you remove the stone from that current timeline. Therefore, like, if you went back in time and say you took $3 out of your bank, but took the stone with you, you therefore created another branch timeline. But if you just took $3 without the stone, you wouldn't really do anything different, so to speak, and you're not really changing the future by that. So, anyway, on to why it makes sense instead of the explanation for it. So, if you've ever watched the Flash TV show, then you know that when you go back in time, they use a mug for, a visual aid. The mug is the space-time continuum. Every time you go back in time, you break it. You can try and put it back together, but it's never going to be the same. It might look similar, but it's not going to be complete. And the Endgame version, actually, let me get a few things to help explain this. Just a couple of quick diagrams. So, if you take the timeline of the Flash, let's not do that because that was pretty bad. Let's see. Alright, so in the Flash's timeline, things such as this exist, where it's a continual loop, where this is the timeline, and then like in Flashpoint, no one knows whether Barry or Savitar comes first. It's a constant time loop, which with no stop and no end. The Endgame timeline is like this. Just humor me. And then if you take the stones out of this point in time and use them to go back or forward, doesn't matter, you create a bunch of new timelines that are never going to be the same. And this is why it makes sense, but I don't think anyone has really explained it well. They've explained that Cap went back in time, stayed with Peggy, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. The difference being that when you create a timeline such as the Flash's, you create a ripple effect. I know it's a trashy, drawing, but I'm not an artist. And then in the Avengers timeline, which this is a cemented timeline, therefore you can never cause a ripple effect. That means you're in the Flash, your future is never cemented, and you can always change it to be, does Iris die? Does Iris not die? Does HR die? Does HR not die? Nora Allen, don't even get me started because that was just garbage. She's my daughter, so I'm going to let her ruin the timeline and possibly the world. It's garbage. Anyway, what happens with the Endgame timeline is that no matter how many times you take an Infinity Stone from one place or another, the line in the middle is always going to stay cemented. This might actually be backwards for you, I'm not sure. My screen does a lot of weird things. Anyway, so you're constantly creating branch timelines. And then what you do with those timelines is you just branch off into it like a road. This road never ends. It's cemented. Therefore, it can never be changed. Neither, then, will these be able to change once you've already created them. So, the reason Endgame and the entire time travel theory in Endgame works is because they're not focusing on a ripple effect. They're focusing on a cemented timeline, which gives them unlimited chances to create however many timelines they want. Can you really pick it apart if you wanted to? Yes. Are there a few moments in the movie where it's flimsy? Oh yeah. But if you ask me, I think this movie sticks more to its rules than most. Don't even get me started, James Cameron. But anyway, I was just told, that I should make a video about this because it does make sense. It only doesn't if you don't want it to. So, again, you have the ripple effect going through from one point to another, constantly going out throughout time, creating a ripple effect. Eventually, it will go back to normal. It may not seem, it won't go back to normal as though the thing that happened will then be erased. It'll go back to normal as in everyone will think, well, it may seem different, but there's no such thing as time travel, or I haven't seen the time travel, therefore this must just be the way it always is, and I'm going crazy. Endgame's timeline, you take the stones out, create a branch timeline, and then the way it is ultimately explained is you have one simple timeline. You remove the stones, you break off into multiple realities, but this reality never changes. Therefore, if Thanos murdered half the population here, go forward 5 years into the future, here, you're never going to actually be able to change these two things because they're always cemented. So what you're going to do from this point is travel back to this point, grab your stones, travel back to this point like they do in the movie. Then in doing so, you're then cementing the rest of this reality. The Endgame time travel in one way could be explained by saying you don't make your own choices, you don't decide your own fate, it's already been decided for you. Wiping out half the population, bringing half the population back. These two things were predestined when the universe was created, but the timeline itself is not malleable. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on the piece. Let me know what you think about it in the comments section down below. And if you like this video, make sure you like it. If you like what you see and you want more content like this, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.